I do welcome you to Bible Times. I'm Willard Pless, and we're here to learn what the Bible teaches and gives us. And so today I want to talk about the false prophet and his doctrine. Now we know that the Bible teaches that in the end time days that the false prophet's going to come to be realized along with the beast that comes to be realized as well. And we're talking about all of this, and we're here to give meat in due season. That's what Jesus wanted in Matthew 24 when he gave the signs of the time and the season of the time, that he said about the servant giving meat in due season. That means talk about what's really going on and what's happening, and that's what we want to do. And so today we want to talk about the false prophet that the Bible talks about will come and be a part. And let's go back to when he first come on the scene, that was not really realized who he was. But let's go back to President Harry Truman's time that came about. And he came about after President Roosevelt, and then Harry Truman, and this is the time that the false prophet showed up, and he would show up with the doctrine of once saved, always saved, with the eternal security doctrine, that you can come to be saved and come to faith and be secure and never lose your salvation. And that doctrine began back in Harry Truman's time with the false prophet showing up. We learned that Harry Truman and the man that we're talking about was good friends. And then he became the spiritual advisor for the presidents from Harry Truman up until his death, that he became the spiritual advisor for the presidents. And from President Kennedy, that came to be president after Harry Truman, that he became president. And we know that he was assassinated, that he was put to death, a political thing. And see, all this kind of goes back to that time, that when America really started to turn to become Babylon, that the Bible talks about. And it goes back to these times when these men showed up and become a part, and the false prophet came to be realized as well. And he became the spiritual leader for the presidents. The 10 presidents, as the Bible gives us, the 10 horns, up until the beast shows up. And see, the beast, he sprouts out of the 10. So from President Truman, of course, we know that President Kennedy was a Democrat, and they were 5 Democrats from Kennedy to Obama. And there were 5 Republicans that came from Nixon through Bush, President Bush. And one that sprouted out of the 10 horns, we know that showed up in 2017. He sprouted out of the 10. And that's what the book of Daniel talks about, that the beast would sprout out of the 10 horns. And see, the prophet, the false prophet the Bible talks about with this doctrine. See, we learn that the false prophet would be just like Balaam was back in the Old Testament concerning Israel. You can go back there and read that, and you know that Balaam became the spiritual advisor for Balak, the king of Moab, that he became the spiritual advisor for him and taught that to take down Israel was to get in there amongst them, marry into them, and because God would not allow Balaam to curse Israel, but he taught Balak how. See, this is the same kind of doctrine. The false prophet would come out of the church world, and he would be teaching a doctrine that would take down the church world. And that was the doctrine of once saved, always saved, eternal security. And this is how we learn who the false prophet was. See, the 10 horns that the beast would show up with, that we know now is President Trump. See, the 10 horns is the 10 presidents just before he comes. That starts with President Kennedy, and you have 5 Democrats and you have 5 Republicans. And then President Trump would sprout out of the 10 and come forward, and had done that in 2017. And Daniel chapter 9 gives the year that he would show up, that when God commanded Israel to come back in the land and rebuild the land, and when they got it rebuilt, then that's when the Messiah, the Prince, would show up. And he showed up in 2017, and that was President Trump. And look in Daniel chapter 9, verse 25, and it gives that there, that he would show up in the 69th year. But he will be taken down. You remember President Kennedy was assassinated, and he was assassinated on November the 22nd in 1963. And you look in Daniel chapter 9, verse 26, and it tells you when President Trump will be cut off by Israel. They will cut him off. And then the people of him will come into Jerusalem and flood Jerusalem. And see, this is what the Bible's talking about. And this is the coming of Jesus as well. Now, we know the one that showed up back in the time of Harry Truman, and in that time that became the false prophet with the doctrine of once saved, always saved. But see, his organization is a supporter of of President Trump. His son supports President Trump, and see, this same doctrine is still, and the presidents were taught that doctrine that you can come to be saved, and that's why you have the presidents saying, "Oh, I've been saved. I've been born again. I'm now a Christian." But see, that doctrine don't teach that you put the flesh leadership away. You got to come to repentance, and you got to put the flesh leadership away. That's what the Bible teaches. But see, that doctrine doesn't teach that. It teaches come to faith, and you can go on and live your life however you want to, and you're eternally secure. You'll be going to heaven when you die anyway. And so, but the Bible don't teach that. Jesus didn't teach that. When Jesus came to start his ministry at age 30 years old, that he went to John the Baptist, and Jesus didn't need repentance, and he was not walking with the flesh leadership. He was in the flesh, but he was not listening to the flesh leadership. So he's showing us how to do it. He's teaching us righteousness, how to become righteous, come to repentance, and he can heal us, set us free of the sin having a hold on us. And then when he goes in the wilderness, he's teaching, don't pick the flesh back up. You've been set free. And so don't pick the flesh back up, because the flesh has the lust of the flesh and the pride of life and the lust of the eyes. That's what the leadership of the flesh does. But see, that doctrine doesn't teach that you get rid of the leadership of the flesh. That doctrine teaches that you can go on and live with the leadership of the flesh and still go to heaven and be with God in eternity. But see, the Bible don't teach that. That's a false doctrine. And see, this thing with the false prophet is just like Balaam was back in the Old Testament. See, if you read the story of Balaam and when Israel was coming out of the land of Egypt to the promised land, that Balak sent for Balaam to come and curse, but God wouldn't let Balaam curse Israel, but Balaam became the advisor how to take Israel down by teaching that you get in there and you get in amongst them. And see, that's the way the church world went. See, that doctrine taught the same thing in the church world, that people got in the church that didn't lay the flesh away and followed the flesh leadership and polluted the church world. And when you come to Revelation chapter 2 and 3, see, that's what took the church down. That's why you find Jesus on the outside. He still knocks on hearts. He still calls people. But see, if you don't lay the flesh away, when he's healed you of sin having a hold on you, and he set you free of that, you're not supposed to pick the flesh back up, but a lot of people do. But that doctrine says you're okay. You don't have to lay the flesh away. But see, the Bible teaches you got to lay the flesh away, and you got to walk with the Spirit leadership. And that's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to learn the truth here. We're seeing the truth, and we want to give the truth. And the false prophet, if we look at his name, was Billy Graham. And then his son has come and filled his place, Franklin Graham, and he's the advisor for President Trump. And this is what's going on in this world. We want to know the truth. We want to see the truth. We want to give the truth. It doesn't matter whether you agree or not. This is the truth. And if you want to be a part, you can. And if you want to walk away, you can do that too. It's up to you. So we want to give the truth and try to help people that have ears to hear. And so God bless you, and you have a great day.